All right. I'm not going to have you get up yet because it's going to be interesting to see how we can stand up and do things with the headset, the earphones, the everything in. Some of you are listening directly from your computer. Others, we have these on. But what I want you to do, move away from your computer, from your phone just a little bit. You're going to stretch up. Right?
Okay.
Go down to the floor, reach down to the floor. Up again. Okay. Down to the floor. Up again, stretch it out. Stretch it out. Bring your arms down to the side, fly like you were a bird. Fly like you were a bird. There you go. See, this is why I'm asking for cameras on, because I see some of you are not doing it. Okay, stretch up. Stretch up. Go to one side. Go to the other. Okay. Great. There you go. I'd ask you to jump around and hang yourselves like a rag doll, but not today. Not today. What I want you to do is we're going to breathe in for 5 seconds, 5 minutes. We're going to breathe in for 5 seconds, hold it for 5 seconds, breathe out for 5 seconds. Okay? So everyone, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Good. Right here, under your nose, okay, you have, there's a name for it. I don't remember what it's called, but you have this space right here under your nose. Take your finger and press on it. Press on it. Press on it. Okay. Did you feel anything?
A little pain.
Okay, you're pressing too hard. Don't use, be careful not to use your nail there. But
Okay.
right away when you press on it, you should feel the need to inhale. Did that happen to you? Okay. This is, okay, you can let it go now. You can let it go. What we find is that nervous people, people who are upset, they actually have like a mark there afterwards. What we did are exercises that we're going to start doing in this class. This will be a normal part of waking up and starting things, because what we want to do is make sure that you are relaxed, the blood is flowing, the blood is circulating, you are ready to go. When you're giving your speeches, you want to relax. One of the biggest problems with people speaking in public is nervousness. Okay, so making sure that you've slept well. I know sometimes it's a problem. Making sure that you've had a good night's sleep. Maybe you've eaten something, maybe you haven't because you have a nervous stomach. But these kind of exercises before you speak are going to help you to get the blood flowing, get your brain working, get things moving, and hopefully bring down the tension or the nervousness that you have. Now, we're going to try something. Go ahead and keep your microphones on if you have them off right now to get your jaw muscles open and your mouth flexible so you're speaking better. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Turn your microphones on. Let me hear you. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Red lorry,
Red
Red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Yellow
yellow
lorry.
Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow
Lorry,
lorry.
yellow lorry.
Red
Lorry,
lorry,
red
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry. Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow
Lorry.
lorry.
lorry,
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
Yellow
lorry.
lorry.
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
lorry,
lorry. Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red
Lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
lorry. Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow
Lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry,
Lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry.
Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Lorry, yellow lorry.
Yellow lorry. Red
Lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
Lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry. Red lorry, yellow
Lorry.
lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Yellow
Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
Lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow.
lorry,
Red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow lorry.
lorry,
Red lorry,
Lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry. Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry,
yellow lorry. Red
Lorry,
lorry. Listen
yellow
to the rhythm.
lorry.
yellow lorry,
Listen to the
lorry,
rhythm.
lorry, yellow lorry, red,
Listen to the rhythm. Listen to the rhythm. Let's go with the rhythm. Everyone on the same one. Ready? Red lorry, yellow lorry.
lorry,
Red lorry, yellow lorry. Follow me.
Lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
Red lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry. Red lorry, yellow
Lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry. Red
lorry,
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 yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red
lorry.
red
lorry, yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry,
lorry,
red lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
A little faster. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry,
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry. Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry, red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry. Red
lorry, red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
red
lorry.
lorry,
Red
Lorry,
lorry, yellow.
yellow
Red
lorry.
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
red
lorry.
lorry,
Red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
red lorry, yellow
Yellow
lorry,
lorry.
Lorry,
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Slow it down now.
Yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Slow it down. Red lorry, yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red lorry,
Lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
lorry,
Red
red
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry,
Red lorry,
Lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry.
lorry.
Red
red
lorry,
yellow
yellow
lorry,
lorry. Red lorry,
Lorry,
yellow
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 lorry.
lorry.
lorry,
Red
Red lorry, yellow
yellow
red
lorry.
lorry,
lorry, yellow lorry.
red
Red lorry,
red
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry, red
lorry, yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow
Red
lorry. Red lorry,
lorry.
yellow lorry.
lorry,
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry,
yellow
red
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry,
lorry, yellow
red
lorry.
yellow lorry,
Red
red
lorry,
Red
yellow
lorry,
lorry.
yellow
Red
lorry.
lorry, yellow lorry.
Red
lorry,
lorry.
Okay, good job. Good job. How you feeling?
I cannot focus when I hear the others speaking at the
Okay,
same time.
okay. Let's try it. Everyone, mute your microphones. Mute your microphones, and we'll try it like that. Okay, and we'll see how you did. Ready? Let's start out slow and then take it up faster. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow
Red.
lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Everyone mute your microphones. Mute your microphones. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Go ahead. Red lorry, yellow lorry. 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 Red lorry, yellow. Red lorry, yellow lorry. 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 Red lorry, yellow. Red lorry, yellow lorry. 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 Okay. I'm seeing a lot of you, your mouths are not moving. Okay. And when you do these, your mouth should be moving so much that it's exaggerated. Okay. Talk with your mouth open, not closed, like we don't even look like we're, here's my ventriloquist puppy. Hello, how are you today? I'm glad to see you. That's not how we want to talk. Exaggerate, open your mouth. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Okay. All right. This is what you're going to. Was that better? Was that easier? Without having all the voices in your head? I know
Yes.
it's difficult to live with all those voices. All right. These are the kind of activities you'll be doing. I want you to practice this. Practice, 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 practice. That's what it's all about. I don't know if you practice or not yet. Eventually, we will be seeing if you practice or not because it will show in the way that you're able to speak and work with your information. Okay, so these are the kind of techniques and activities we're going to be working with this semester. Question, how have you felt this first week? How are you feeling after this first week? It's Friday, yay! But Friday isn't as intense anymore when you're at home all the time, right?
It's the best day of the week.
Yeah, but it's not the same when you're staying at home, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's still good. It's still good because at least Saturday and Sunday, you know, you don't have to get up early and worry about connecting and doing these kind of things. But how have you felt this first week with work, the activities that we did, the activities you did in the book? How have you felt this week? Now, the first week has been kind of slow and, what's the word? Relaxed, okay? It's going to get a little more intense than this, but how is everyone feeling?
I would like to say,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to say that this first week I felt nervous, but with time I'm getting used to the way you work because honestly I was sleepy, but then when you are doing this kind of activities that we are speaking, I feel I don't feel sleepy anymore, so I just feel comfortable with the class.
Good, good. About halfway through the class, we'll have to do some more exercises so that I don't start seeing this. Okay, good. Anybody else have an opinion they want to give about how you felt this first week of work to be? You had the experience. How was your experience with your homework? Did everybody understand the comments that I gave? For those of you that I gave comments to, did you understand the comments?
I haven't even
Okay.
checked.
What's that?
I haven't even checked that out, so I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay, but you hadn't handed in your work before, right? You probably just handed it in yesterday?
No, I think I did it 2 days ago.
Because I don't think I checked yours. I don't remember.
Okay.
But take a look at it. Take a look at it. The ones who sent me their work again or just sent it yesterday for the first time, I'll be checking those this afternoon. Okay, so you're going to notice when that's done. But take a look at the comments. Make sure you understand them. Make sure you see the way that I've graded, that you think it's fair to what you did. Okay, I graded a couple of you who have given me the second work and you've improved a lot. So that makes me really, really glad to see that you're taking advantage of the fact that you're able to do it again and get a much better grade on that. That's just for the first homework, all right? Be careful because this is your experience for the next ones. So use that same experience. The biggest thing is make sure you're answering the question. Make sure you're doing what they've asked you to do. Okay? Any questions about that right now? Anything about your homework? Okay, good.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Very quick. It's just to confirm. It would be for chapter 1, exercises for critical thinking. That was for the 20th.
Yeah, just
Okay.
that one question, that one activity.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
All right. One thing I didn't mention is that your book has, right before the exercises for critical thinking, it has review questions. And I'm not asking you to hand me in the review questions, but I do recommend that you do them because it will help you to guide your reading, it will help you to find things faster, and it will help you for the final exam. You'll be able to have your review questions there with you, and you can find information much faster. So I'm not asking for the review questions, but I do recommend that you do them in a notebook somewhere where you have them together and organized. I recommend that you write the question and then the answer, so you have the question also there with you. All right? If you have any questions about those, let me know. Okay, so today, yeah, I did put, oh, and this afternoon, I'll be sending you your calendar. I'm finishing that up now so that you know what's happening quickly. Today was a vocal warm-up, chapter 1, and a tongue twister. Okay, Monday we're going to do some pronunciation exercises. And for Monday, you saw that the date for exercise chapter 2, your exercises for critical thinking, whoops, are due. Okay, so I'll send you the calendar this afternoon. So you have at least till the beginning of September. I can't believe it's September. First it was going so slow, now it's going so fast. All right, but therefore, chapter 1, all right, public speaking. How is knowing how to speak in public going to help you? How is knowing how to speak well in public going to help you? Anybody have any ideas?
You're going to be seen by other people and therefore draw their attention in order to go ahead and improve, advance, progress.
All right.
To have confidence.
Okay. To have a lot of confidence. Yeah.
Give a clear message.
All right.
It helps you to pursue others.
It helps you to, again?
It helps you to pursue others.
To pursue others, how?
For example, you're giving some ideas and then you wanted to they recognize you or
Okay. Okay. Sure.
to
Absolutely.
take you into account.
Okay. Anyone else?
Teacher,
Yeah.
I suppose the Nati say that probably you can take advantage about another person because probably you can use the same strategy.
Okay. Take advantage of another person?
Yeah, because probably that person could be intelligent person. An example, that person uses a good vocabulary. Probably you can copy some words. Probably
Oh, okay.
it can help you to be more polite, to be relaxed.
Okay. All right. I don't think that's what Nati was saying. I think she was saying that you would be recognized, people would see you. I think Nati and Chris were kind of saying something similar, that you would be seen and recognized by others because you would be able to speak in public. All right. Now, be careful. The expression take advantage of can be taken two ways. All right. To take advantage of, to cheat or to steal from somebody, or to take advantage of, meaning to make use. Now, Javier, I think you mean to make use of it,
Yeah.
right? Because you said to improve your vocabulary, to look at the way they use formality, okay? So yes, definitely. You can also use public speaking to take advantage of somebody, like to cheat or to swindle them, because if you're a good speaker, you can make people do things. Do you all know Charles Manson?
No.
Charles Manson? Who knows who Charles Manson is?
The killer?
Yes.
The serial killer.
Yes. Well, he was a cult leader. Okay. And his cult was focused in murdering people. But his speaking was good. But his ideals, his image, what he stood for was what really caught people's attention. In Waco, Texas, you have the Davidians, And their leader, anyone who leads a cult, has got to be a good, strong speaker, right? To convince people to give everything they have. And so these people can take advantage of people, but in a negative way. They take advantage that they're looking for something, that they're lonely, and they pull them into the cult and they take everything. Okay? Or we can take advantage and learn from somebody. So there are two ways. One's positive, one's negative. Okay? But all these answers are great to be seen by others. What happens if you're afraid of speaking in public, so you never give any presentations? When you're a teacher or a translator, you never give any presentations because you're afraid to speak in public. What happens?
Nobody will notice you.
Right. Nobody will notice you. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows what you can do because you're never seen in public. Maybe you attend conferences, but you never actually speak. The speakers are the ones who are more important there. Okay. Another one, you mentioned confidence. If you can speak in public, you can do anything. How do you like that? You can do anything. What scares you more than speaking in public? What scares you more than speaking in public?
To make pronunciation.
Again?
My pronunciation.
Your pronunciation? Okay. Something else?
To make mistakes.
Making mistakes?
The lack of vocabulary.
But you're telling me what scares you about making a presentation, right? This is why giving a presentation scares you, right? Everyone, your pronunciation, your mistakes. But what scares you more than speaking in public? More than
I think mistakes? That the one that scares you, the one that scares me is that to get bored to your audience, to lose their attention.
Okay.
And to not inspire others.
All right. Very important points. But again, this is what scares you about public speaking. Be careful. I'm not asking what scares you about public speaking. I'm asking you what scares you more than public speaking. Laura, you were going to say something? Same thing.
I did not get the attention I was waiting for. I was hoping.
To not get the attention you were hoping for? Okay.
Yeah.
These are things that scare us more or about public speaking. But what scares you more than public speaking?
Perhaps the critics from people.
For me,
okay, this is about public speaking. Who is afraid of snakes? Anyone afraid of snakes? Okay. No. Which scares you more, speaking in public or snakes?
Snakes.
Snakes.
That's good. That's good. Okay. Who's afraid of clowns? Who's afraid of clowns?
I am scared of clowns.
All right. What scares you more, public speaking or clowns?
Clowns.
Clowns.
Clowns. That's good. These are good answers. All right. What scares you more, public speaking or death?
Death.
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
All right. The good thing is most of you are saying death scares you more. That's important. But for a lot of people, public speaking is scarier than death. Okay? And I say it's because you haven't been trained to speak in public. You haven't learned the benefits and the ways of speaking in public, right? But a lot of people are more afraid of speaking in public than death. Actually, 79%, 76% of people are more afraid of speaking in public than dying. So can you imagine them when they have to present? They're sitting there saying, if I died right now, I wouldn't have to present. If I died right now, I wouldn't have to speak in public. That's pretty dramatic, don't you think? Okay, but interesting, something to take a look at. But all the fears that you have, now let's go back to the question. What are you afraid of about public speaking? You said pronunciation, you said vocabulary, you said not impressing my audience, not getting their attention.
My
Fernanda.
corporal language. No.
Again,
My corporal language.
your body language, right? Your body language.
My body.
You won't be giving the message that you want to give during your speech. What else scares you about speaking?
Being judged by others.
Being judged by others. Okay. That's something that we fear every day, I think, but yes, especially. Eduardo.
That maybe because of the nervousness, I could choke with what I'm saying, or like leave it at the middle with.
Okay. So you
my
think
speech.
you might not even finish your speech because you're so nervous. Or you might feel that you're not saying what you wanted to say. And as soon as you finish, you say, oh, I forgot to say this, and I didn't do this right, and I didn't say this, and I said this at the wrong time. Yes, that's completely normal. Completely normal. Who else? Anyone else?
Probably you can start walking.
Don't have.
Again, you can what?
Probably you can start walking because you feel so terrible. You are nervous. You can start walking or to try to be relaxed.
Oh, that's what you can do. Yeah, sure. To help not be so nervous about it. Daniela, what were you going to say?
Yes. Maybe one problem is that we get nervous because we don't have a good fluency.
Okay, right there. Two things that you're basically nervous about. Your language and your message. Okay? What if I have nothing to say? What if I don't impress people? What if I don't say it correctly? What if I make a mistake? What if I pronounce something incorrectly and they don't understand? That's perfectly normal. But we're going to add a third one in here. It's your language, it's your message, and it's the way you present it. All right? So we're going to continuously look at those things. Your language proficiency, the message that you have, your knowledge of it, and how you get that message across to your audience. Anybody else have any secret fears about speaking in public that you'd like to share?
Well, I don't like when people are in the back and start laughing at me. Like I'm giving a presentation and sometimes people don't. Well, it's not like they are not paying attention. It's like they are just joking about the person who's speaking in front of them.
Okay.
So I think that's not nice.
Has this been your experience in the classroom when you give a presentation?
It has happened to me in high school.
Okay.
And it wasn't nice.
Okay. High school, we all remember high school, right? You more than me, but yeah, high school was never nice. Why do people judge you? Okay, this is very valid. Why are people sitting in the back laughing? Why are people judging you? Why are people doing, not paying attention? Why are they doing this?
Because they don't want to be there.
Because they don't want to be there? That's a possibility.
Maybe because
they don't care about the topic.
They don't care about the topic?
They're the same guys that just critique everything but don't do anything to make it better.
Okay, they criticize everything.
Because they are bored.
Okay, they're bored. And when people get bored, they do all kinds of things they shouldn't be doing. Yes. Yes. Anyone else?
Because they don't are.
Daniela?
Yes, because they are not respectful.
Okay.
Is one thing.
Disrespect, right? Somebody else was.
Because they might think on their minds that they can do it better.
Okay. They might think they can do it better. I like that. Yeah? Who was going to say
I think
something?
it's also because we don't give the presentation formal enough. Like we are not acting confident enough, and people start thinking like, oh, she doesn't even know the topic, or she's shaking. and then they are like, why am I going to hear this
Okay.
presentation or listen to her?
Right. Let's end with that one. Each of you said something very valid, very relevant for this, because you're saying all kinds of things, but all of those things come back to the same thing. They're not listening to you. Okay? If you are interesting, knowledgeable, you're using their learning styles, they would listen to you. If you would catch their attention right at the beginning of the speech, they would listen to you. But the problem is they don't care. Now, maybe they don't care because you didn't take into consideration who your audience is and what they need or want when you prepared your speech. That's a possibility also. We're going to look at that in future chapters. There are people who criticize everybody. Yes, they exist. We know who they are, right? But what happens when you look like an expert? When you look like you know what you're talking about, they're not going to criticize you as much because you look like you know what you're talking about and you're actually trying to teach them. That's the important thing. They're bored. Why are they bored? Because you're boring, right? That's how they work. If your audience is bored, it's because you're boring. And there's definitely something you can do to remedy that situation. You said it's a disrespect. They're not respectful. Yes, there are people who are not respectful no matter what you do. But if they believe in you, right? If you are a credible speaker, they should be able to respect you more. They think they can do it better. This is interesting. If you are giving a bad speech, there are people who think they can do it better. But if you're giving a good speech, they're impressed and they know they can't do it better. Okay? And you're not formal enough or not confident enough. This is exactly what we already mentioned. The idea that you need to show that you are confident. You need to show that you are the expert. You know what you're talking about. You have everything ready. You've practiced. You've taken time. You've prepared. Now, not everything will turn out 100% all the time. Maybe you practiced and you're ready and everything, and it still didn't turn out the way that you wanted it. Practice makes perfect. As you go on, it will get better. Okay. How will public speaking help you in your personal life and in your professional life?
Be more talkable.
Be more.
More communicate in the way you're fluent to talk about when when you talk with someone.
Okay. To be able to communicate better. Right.
To
How
get a
else?
good job, I guess.
Again?
To get a good job.
Right. Okay. To get a good job. Anyone else?
To be more convincing.
To be more convincing. Okay. Anyone?
To persuade people.
Yes.
To
Anyone?
make new friends, gain confidence.
Okay. I didn't hear the last one. I heard to make new friends. What was after that? Anyone?
To inspire others to do something.
Okay, to inspire others.
I would say that to help others in the sense that if you have this knowledge about public speaking, you can reuse it to communicate effectively to other people.
Okay. All right. To be able to help them with communication. What else? Anything else? Very specifically, be very specific. I like that. Somebody said to get a good job. Right? And that's exactly it. If you can walk in to a job interview and show confidence and communicate effectively, right? Speak well, organize your thoughts so that you can bring them out more organized, you're going to get the job. You're going to look like you are the candidate they're looking for. That's a very specific way public speaking is going to help you. Give me another specific way. Someone said to persuade others. To persuade others. Many of you told me that you tried to persuade your parents to buy you a new phone or to buy you a computer or to. In some of those cases, we didn't have a good response at first, probably because of the interference, because we didn't adapt to feedback, because we didn't sound confident, because we didn't have good reasons. So we have a failed persuasion. What if we spoke better, looked more confident, gave good logic in our argument? We would have a much better chance of persuading someone, persuading your parents, persuading friends, persuading your boss, teachers. Okay, not me, because I know the secrets. Okay, others. Very specifically in your life. In the previous question, some of you mentioned that you would be seen by others and you would be recognized. So when you give presentations in your professional life, you become more of a name. People start knowing your name and knowing the areas that you're working in. And you start creating these groups for work, for research, for publications, for presenting. And therefore, in your professional area, you are more recognized. People know who you are. Okay. Any other reasons or ways that public speaking is going to help you in your professional or your personal life?
For example, that I'm in a call center. I was a very nervous person at the beginning, but as time passed and I got more experience taking calls, I got more confident, and I developed my own kind of script, and I have a way to go out and say it. So by the time somebody says no, I can go ahead and apply in a rebuttal without getting confused and messing up. So I know exactly what I'm about to say.
Okay. And it almost becomes automatic for you, probably, right?
It does.
It comes right out. You say things without even thinking about it because of working with so many customers and having to say the same kinds of things. And then if something else comes up, you know what to say because you've had the experience of it. I think that's very important right there, having that experience. The more experience you get in speaking in front of groups, the better you're going to become. Now, there's a difference though. People who speak a lot in front of groups, but who never worry about how they have to speak or how to organize, that's different. But knowing how to speak in public and then getting experience, you're going to be a force to be reckoned with, right? It's going to be helpful in many ways. We look at the similarities between public speaking and conversation. Okay? How are public speaking and conversation similar? Anybody?
Well, I think it's because you have to get your idea through them, through anyone who's listening to you, and you need to be clear and like not beat around the bush. I think that's how it's said.
The expression,
Because
yeah.
otherwise people will get bored and will be like, oh, she's always just talking about weird stuff that we don't even understand.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Okay. Getting your message to them clearly, concisely, without a lot of beating around the bush, as you said, yes, without a lot of run around to it. Organizing what you're going to say. What is your message? Organizing it well so that they understand you and so that they're interested in what you have to say. Sure, even when you speak with friends, you have to organize what you're saying to them, otherwise they're not going to understand you. If you don't get straight to the point, they're going to start talking on their phone or get up and leave and go somewhere else. So that's a similarity between speaking to others and speaking in public. Another similarity that we have?
Persuade others.
Okay, that would be one of our
To persuade
purposes.
others.
We're trying to persuade them, yeah. in both speaking with friends and family, speaking normally, and speaking in public. We're persuading, we're informing, and we're entertaining. These are our three main purposes for speaking. Sometimes we're just having fun and talking about something and telling jokes and laughing. Entertaining, that's our purpose. We don't have to give great information that will change the world. But giving information, persuading, and entertaining are three purposes that we have there. Okay? Are there similarities between public speaking and regular conversation?
That you are interacting.
That you're interacting? Yeah. But what do we have to do? Okay? I'm going to give you a hint. This was homework from chapter 1. Again, similarities between public speaking and conversation.
I would say the immediate feedback.
It depends on how you're speaking to them, right? As if you get immediate feedback or not. However, when you speak with friends, whatever feedback you get, you adapt what you're saying to it, right? What's feedback? What's feedback? Give me examples of feedback. When you're speaking to someone.
Like, what is your listening doing? Like, if they are paying attention or not, you can notice in your facial expression.
Okay. For example?
When you're talking about something that they don't know and they can be bored because they don't know anything about it, so you can see that they are not interested in your topic.
Okay, and how do you know they're bored?
Because they don't ask you more about it.
All right, they don't ask you more about it. In their body language, what can we see?
Probably they don't look at you. Yeah, they did. They do that. And also...
They're, okay, first of all, let me go back to what you're saying. They're looking around. Maybe they're looking at other things. Okay. They're yawning. What else do people do when they're bored?
Their cell phones.
Yeah, they take out their cell phones and start checking them.
They make some movements.
Like what? Here's, do you see? Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. Do you see what happens here? Today, several times I've said, like what? For example, because when you say things, you remain general. What do I want? Specific, specific, specific. Give me. Okay? A couple of you in the homework, I made the same kind of comment. Specific. What do people do when they're bored? They yawn, they look around other places, they check their cell phone. What else do they do?
They are talking with other people.
Okay, they're talking with other people.
Sometimes if they don't know the topic or they are kind of bored and want you to end as soon as possible, they will probably start asking like, really? What else? What else? But like kind of bored. Like they ask that and they are like,
just like the automatic,
yeah, so you feel like they are kind of refusing to listen to you. And then you stop talking.
Okay. Some people don't. They keep talking anyway, but smart people will. What else do people do when they're bored?
They fall asleep. They fall asleep.
They fall asleep. Yeah, that's the most obvious one, kind of the eyes falling. You're sleeping. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay. What else do people do when they're bored?
They don't respond to ask what that you're asking for.
Okay. Just the opposite of what Maria Jose said. Instead of like answering things, they stop answering things also. Right? What else? What else? Come on, I know you have experience with this.
Another one is what's called body expression, of body language that they just
Right.
cross their arms and they're like, oh yeah, sure.
Right? Rolling your eyes and crossing your arms and all of these kind of maybe putting their hands in their pockets or playing with something with their hands. So you see a lot of body expression, body language there. Anything else? What do people do? Maybe people are not listening to you because they're bored, right? And maybe people are not listening to you because they don't believe you. They don't believe what you're saying. What will you see? What kind of feedback will you get from that? When someone does not believe what you're saying, what feedback will they give you?
The teacher always say you only need to say the truth because sometimes you can make up some words or some ideas. For example, an example, uh, uh, I want to say that you you only need to say the truth because sometimes you can continue talking. You can make up some ideas. Probably in the final of the presentation, you are going to have a problem because, an example, in the first time you say the truth and the last time you say a lie, the people always say, "What happened? You in your presentation, you told me something. After that, you told me other ideas. What happened?" Well, because that was my experience in
Okay.
target
But what
language.
do people do? What do people do when they don't believe you? You're talking to someone and you
Yeah.
don't believe what they're saying. What do you do? How do you let them know that you don't believe what they're saying?
Well, if
Well,
I'm with a friend, I make jokes. I make sarcastic jokes about his or her stories. I'm like, or I make the sounds. I don't know.
All right. Or you roll your
that's
eyes. You're
true.
going, oh yeah, okay. Or you're looking at someone else going, kind of thing,
Yeah. Oh, I know.
right?
Yeah.
So you're giving them the idea. You're letting them know that you don't believe what they're saying. Now, do they change what they're saying, or do they change the way they're saying it when
No,
they
they
see
try
your
to convince
reaction?
me.
They
No.
try and convince you. Okay, they just keep going and
Yeah.
try and convince you. Right? When someone is bored with what you're saying in a presentation with your friends, do you change the way you're speaking to try and make them not be bored?
Yeah.
You do change? Okay. If you see they're falling asleep, if they're yawning, if they're doing other things, you try and change the way you're speaking, right? When someone believes you and they're excited about what you say, what kind of feedback do you get?
Get questions from the people that are interested on what you said or what you presented.
All right. So people are interested, they ask you more questions about it. What other feedback do you get?
They
They
kind
look
of
at you.
try to
Fight it out.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead, Maria Jose.
Maria Jose?
I think that yeah, I already forgot what I was going to say. That they try to get involved in the conversation. Like they don't only ask questions; they also try to tell some experience that is similar to theirs, to ours, and things like that.
Okay. All right. And Xochitl, what were you going to say?
And they look at you.
They look at you. They make eye
Yeah.
contact. Yes. And they make comments about it. You can see their eyes get real big. Or they do this or other expressions that you can see that they're interested. They want to hear what you're talking about. Or they nod their heads and go, okay. Asking questions, as was already mentioned. So this is feedback. Feedback is the information that others give us when they have something to say about what you're saying. They might not say it verbally. They might say it in body language, but they say it. Do we adjust? Many of you were trying to convince your parents in the exercise you did for homework. You were trying to convince your parents to let you go out, to give you money, to buy something for you. What kind of feedback were they giving you? Some of you said they didn't want to be bothered at that moment. So they said, oh, I can't talk about this right now. Go away. Or they continued doing whatever it was they were doing, going, uh-huh, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then later on you said, I told you about it. And they said, oh, I don't remember. Okay? Because they were giving you feedback that they weren't listening. So feedback is what we get, and we should adjust our message. If you are trying to convince your parents to give you something, buy you something, and they're looking out the window or doing something else while you're speaking or turned away from you, okay, right? What should you do?
Change our speech.
Or change your strategy, right? Change how you're trying to persuade them, shock them, get their attention, have them look at you.
The
Yes?
energy you put to the message, because if you have like how do you say, low energy when you speak, like, oh, hey dad, what's up, and you say, hey dad, I want to talk to your daughter. I mean, the expression you say, how you say it, it has a lot of, it has to be energetic.
The energy, the volume. Now, you don't ever want to say, hey, can you turn around and look at me? Because that's just going to make them angry. They're like, you know, this, let me finish this. But you have to use the way you speak and what you say to make them realize that they want to listen to you at that moment. Okay. So adapting listener feedback. Other ways, other similarities that we have between how you normally speak. Oh, the same thing when you speak. You see your audience laughing or talking, doing something else. They're bored. Okay. You see them looking at you going, right? They don't believe what you say. You see them going, right? They're getting something out of it. In the first two, you would have to modify, adapt what you're saying. In the last one, that's exactly the feedback that you want. So we do have to work a lot about feedback. And you'll notice, the one thing you'll notice about me is that I try to give you feedback as you're speaking. Sometimes I go, okay. Sometimes I do this, right? Very obviously can't hear you. But that's exactly why, because I know that people need feedback as they're speaking to be able to understand if what they're saying is being understood or not. All right. Are there similarities between public speaking and speaking normally to friends and family and others?
We have interference, so it could be external or internal. It can be from our audience or outside of audience, from the environment.
Right, exactly. And what do you want to do before we start speaking? We want to try and get as much interference gone as possible. Let me ask you a question. Were any of you, oh, wait, there you are, okay. Were any of you in the groups, you've seen me, when we're at school, if students outside the classrooms are making a lot of noise, you may have seen me walk outside, and the first time I asked them very nicely, good morning, excuse me, could you please turn down the volume or go somewhere else? And they go, oh yeah, sorry. And then I walk back in the classroom and I hear, ha 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 ha. So I walk back out and I say, ¿qué no entendieron de lo que les dije? Hablé en ruso, ¿qué les pasa? So the first time I said it very nicely. The second time, yes. What was I trying it to do? Because I'm a witch? Because I'm a terrible person? Because I'm, maybe. But I'm trying to get as much interference on as possible because it's impossible to hear students and it's impossible to hear the teacher with people talking and laughing outside. Did I ever do that to any of you?
No, but I have seen you.
Okay. And the only reason I do it is because it's interference. It's interference. And no matter what else I do, if they can't hear me, I can't hear them, there's no communication there, right? Now, sometimes our interference is not just noise or heat or outside factors that sometimes we can't control. Sometimes they're internal factors. You're worried about something. You're in love, right? The boy, the girl that you've been looking at has just talked to you, and you walk into the classroom and you say, so you're sitting there the whole class imagining your life as you get married and you have children, and you know what I'm talking about, don't you? I saw feedback from some of you. You're going, yeah, I don't think so. Okay, but you have things that you're thinking about. You're worried, you're sick, you're hungry. All right. I didn't mention it the first day of, oh no, Chris, you were the one who asked me. No. If you could eat in class?
No, I didn't say that. I don't
No.
eat.
It must have been in another class. I think it was another classroom. The first question is, can we eat in class? I said, you're in your house. You know what I mean? You can walk around in your underwear if you want to. Just make sure we're not seeing it, you know, nicely covered up here. You can eat if you want. And I always let students eat in class because hunger is a very strong interference. And if you're thinking about what you're going to eat after class, you're not paying attention to what's happening in class. Now, you don't want your audience as you're speaking eating all kinds of things and in a buffet. But having them take out a pack of cookies or drinking a soda is going to be much better because they're not focused on their hunger. They're focused on you. So sometimes our interference is within us and sometimes it's outside. We need to try and eliminate as much interference as we can. Many of you said in your conversations that you had that there was interference. A younger brother or sister was making a lot of noise. Your mother was worried about something. They were messaging someone as you were talking to them. All this is interference. And if they're paying attention to that, they're probably not paying attention to you. Okay. Are there similarities between speaking to friends, family, informally as to speaking in public? There's two more. They were in your reading.
The channel. That it can be by phone, it can be by video conference, it can be face to face.
Right. Well, the channel's part, sorry to interrupt you there. The
Yeah.
channel's part of the speech communication process, but it's every time there's communication, there's a channel. There has to be one. But it doesn't necessarily change according to who you're talking to. If you have to call someone, you call someone. If you can see someone face to face. Now, it might change according to your purpose. Someone said, I would do this face to face next time because doing it over the phone was impossible, right? But that's part of one of the similarities that we have too. There's 4 of them. And you mentioned organizing your thoughts logically and adapting to listener feedback. What are the other 2?
The purpose of our conversation?
Well, kind of comes into one.
Make sure that the message that you are giving to the one who needs to get the message, understand the message.
Okay.
I think it has to be interactive. So right now I'm talking, and by the time I finish talking, the other person received my message, and therefore he has an answer. So he's gonna go ahead and talk back to me, and it's gonna continue on.
Okay. Yep. Well, a question for everyone here. Did you read chapter 1?
I read one topic of speaking in public.
But did you read chapter 1? Speaking in public, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you read chapter 1? Okay. Then I'm just asking for the other 2 points that are here in chapter 1. This is the interesting, easy thing. I don't even need you to like really think about it a lot. They're right here. Number 1 was organizing your thoughts logically. Number 4 was adapting to listener feedback. What's number 2 and 3?
The number 3 was telling the story with for a maximal impact.
For maximum impact, all right? Telling the story for maximum impact, exactly. This is why I do suggest you do the exercises, the review questions, and I suggest as you read, you take notes, because some of you, maybe you can't access the book right now because you're using your device for the Zoom conference, but take notes, take notes. The other day, my daughter decided she finished, she's just finishing up social service, and she decided so that she wouldn't have so many papers laying around, she would make all her notes digital. She would type them all in, transcribe everything, and throw out her papers. She started transcribing notes from her classes, and she said, my God, my teacher's a whole semester of classes, and I have 2 pages of notes. A whole semester of classes, and I have 3 sentences. A whole semester of classes, and I have this. She was very upset about how little information she actually had at the end of it, okay? But in this class, note-taking is not so much what I say. It's what you read, what you study, so that you have it there organized, ready to be able to discuss it and work with it. All right, so those are my suggestions for you. Yes, number 3 is telling a story for maximum impact. When you tell a story, do you start at the end? When you tell a story about what happened to you this weekend, do you start at the end?
No, you have
No.
to start with the beginning of the
Yeah.
of such a kind of fact that happened to you, and then realized and then communicate the thing that happened to you.
Okay. Now, you don't start with the end unless you're Quentin Tarantino. I see some of you are not Tarantino fans. Okay. You don't start at the end, you start at the beginning. You don't tell a joke and start with the punchline. You start building it up. You don't talk about your weekend and start with you getting to school on Monday morning, right? When you tell a story, you tell it in order, you tell it with emotion, you tell it with the body language that will get the person listening to you excited about it. So when we tell a story, we tell it the best way we can so that the other person listening is actually listening. Now, who's good at telling jokes? Is anyone good at telling a joke? Let me see. Page 1, no joke, people. Page 2, no jokes. No? So no one can tell us a joke? Okay. I'll have to tell you a joke then. All right? Now, I need you to turn your microphones on. Everyone turn your microphones on. Good. There were 3 presidents in a plane. The president of Moscow, the president of Russia, the president of the United States, and the president of Mexico. And so they're flying in their plane, and all of a sudden, the president of the United States the president of Russia puts his arm out the window and brings it back in and says, "We are flying over Russia." And the other 2 presidents look at each other and say, "Wow, how do you know that?" He says, "I put my hand out the window and pricked my finger on the tip of the Kremlin." Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right. So they're flying and flying and flying. And all of a sudden, the president of the United States puts his hand out the window, pulls it back in, and says, "We're flying over the United States right now." And the other 2 presidents say, "Wow, how did you know that?" I put my hand out the window and I burnt my finger on the torch of the Statue of Liberty. Wow, that's pretty impressive. All right. So they're flying and flying and flying, and all of a sudden, the president of Mexico put his hand out the window, pulled it back in, and said, "We're flying over Mexico right now." And the other two said, "How did you know that?" "I put my hand out the window and someone stole my watch." Okay. Sorry if anyone took offense. Sorry if anyone took offense. But we know it's true. More than a joke, it's a true story. Okay. So, yeah, you can turn your microphones off now. What I wanted to hear was the feedback. I wanted to hear the feedback from it. Now, what happens when you tell the story and you start jumping around? You say, "No, wait, and it's this. Oh, I forget. Oh, and you, him and Hall, it doesn't have the same impact. Telling jokes is a real art. Not everyone can do it well. That's the only joke I can tell, by the way. The only one that I know that comes out. So anytime that you are telling a story, you're telling it for maximum impact, and then you're seeing the feedback that you get from your audience. The same thing happens in a very formal situation. And the last similarity between public speaking and conversation.
Tailoring your message to the audience.
All right. Meaning that you have to take into consideration who your audience is as you're preparing your speech. All right. We don't want to be giving a sex education class to elementary school children using the vocabulary we would use with high school students, right? That would be a very, I'm not even going to try and explain that one, but that would be very difficult too. Now, what are the differences between speaking in public, speaking in front of a large audience, and everyday conversation?
The language.
All right.
And
The
public
body
speaking
language.
is
Language. First of all, the language itself, it requires more formal language. Speaking in public requires more formal language. We never want to say, "Hey guys," right? "What's up?" You know, that thingy, the little thingy jigger, whatever, I don't know what it's called. You need to have your vocabulary there that you're planning on using. The words that you need to give a maximum impact. You need to address your audience more formally, right? But still have the good rapport between them. Another difference is between public speaking and speaking to others.
Maybe the confidence.
What about the confidence?
Yeah, you said, for example, it's not the same to when you are speaking in public and say, "Hey guys, how are you?" or yeah, an informal English, and when you are speaking with your friend, you are not like very polite.
Okay, well, that would have to do with language, right? The formality of the
Yeah.
language.
It could be
There,
language.
Again?
It could be body language.
Body language? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. What about it? Be careful. Did you notice something? When you're answering my questions, you're saying, "It could be, it might be, it could," yeah, it could be, but it's not.
That public speaking is more structured.
More highly structured, okay? What does that mean for us?
That the speaker must finish his speech. People cannot interrupt.
Okay, one of the things there is that you don't have the opportunity for participation, questions, interruptions whenever you're speaking, all right? Now, we don't have interruptions and questions and participations, so what do we need? Better information. Why do people ask questions? Because they don't understand. So if your audience is not understanding what you're saying, They're going to want to ask questions. They're going to make this kind of face. Like, and after a while, they stop listening and go away. Right? So we have to make sure when we structure and organize our speech that we're going to be answering all the potential questions that our audience might have. Okay? So it's more highly structured in the organization. It's more highly structured in the kind of information that we have. We want to make sure that our audience, our speech is a city and our transitions are street signs. If you have a map, if you go to a new city and you have a map, are you going to be able to find your way around? If you go to a new city and you have a map, can you find your way around?
Yes.
You're all saying yes? Okay. Not necessarily. What else do you need?
Ask for information about the
Guidance.
places.
Well, that's dangerous, asking people for information, because I've had my experience of people telling me, oh yeah, go down that way and do this and do that. And they had no idea what they were telling me, but they didn't want to tell me they didn't know. What else do we need?
Teacher, well, I have to say something about that. And it's really funny because they sound convincing. They sound that they really do.
Just the other day.
Yeah, because I've done it.
There you go. That's a real talent there for your public speaking skills. You can convince people that you know what you're talking about. Just the other day, I had a client come here and he said, I was asking people, they told me there was a translator here, and I was asking people, and he actually got to the school. He went up to the school. We live here by La Cocota. Okay. Do any of you know, did any of you take the Loma Bella to school? Okay, you know where it checks right there by La Cocota? Ours is the next house there. Okay, so it's really close to the school. It's only a kilometer from the school. But when you're walking, it's a kilometer, you know? So he's like, I started asking people where the translator was and I ended up at the school. And of course, the school is closed. So he got back to me eventually, which was good. But he asked people, you know, where is there a translator? Now, many of my neighbors don't know I'm a translator. They don't know I translate. They know I'm a teacher. But if you need something having to do with language, can't you say, go to the American who lives in the blue house? You know what I mean? Give them a good answer instead of just saying, oh yeah, go up that way, do this, do that, do something else. So you have a map and your speech is a city. What does your audience need to be able to follow, to be able to find the places?
We need to.
Oh,
again.
Sorry.
Fernanda, first, what were you saying?
You have to know how to read a map.
Okay, you have to know how to read a map. Maria Jose?
It's something that we had in the reading that says that we need to give them a method so they can kind of follow. And in this part, it said something like we needed to change the voice tone. We needed to avoid mannerisms. So I don't know how it was called. And not to have like some verbal habits of saying some phrases like, oh yeah, that thing, that stuff, or something like that.
Something like that, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right.
So, yeah.
When you're in a new city, you have a map, that's fantastic. But if there are no street signs, your map is no good. So anyone here from Toluca? No? I'm using this as an example because that was the most confusing city I've ever been to. And you're walking down the street, and one street is Benito Juarez, you know, obviously. The next street, what's the next street? Any ideas?
Porfirio?
Good guess, but no.
Reforma.
Good guess, but no. I think there's only a Cinco de Mayo in Puebla. I'm not sure. The answer I was expecting from someone would be like, how are we supposed to know? You know, who knows what street comes after? Interestingly enough, I think it was Sor Juana Inés de la Cruz. I'm not sure. But there's no logic there. I mean, I think I'm accustomed to Puebla. You know, what street is after 2?
4.
4. What street is after 4? 6, 8, 10. That's the way it goes, right? But if you're in a city like Toluca and you don't have street signs, so you can have a map, but you don't have a sign, you don't know if you're in Benito Juarez. You don't know if you're in Sor Juana. So when we speak, we speak under hoping or thinking that our audience understands us. But when you're speaking in public, you're taking a lot of care to have your audience follow you completely, meaning that you're saying, in our first point, for example, next, then. Our second option is this. However, on the other hand, we're using a lot of language that helps guide our listener through what we're saying. In the beginning of our speech, we have structured it so much that our audience knows exactly where they're going to go. We give our central idea, which is a phrase that has our 3 main points. So we say the 3 smallest breeds of dogs are Chihuahuas. What's another small dog? Terriers. And what's another small dog?
Poodle.
Poodles.
Little
Okay.
poodles.
Yes, a poodle. All right. So the 3 smallest breeds of dogs are, I forgot them again, Chihuahuas, Terriers, and Poodles. So our audience knows that our 3 main points, we're going to talk about Chihuahuas and Terriers and Poodles. So we start talking about Chihuahuas. All right. As we're finishing Chihuahuas, we say, now we go on to Terriers. Unlike Poodles, Terriers, after we finish Terriers, we say, Terriers are a small breed of dog, but if you want a really small breed, a toy cup poodle is going to be the breed for you. So you've made that transition between the 2 of them. Your audience knows that you're not talking about terriers, you're talking about poodles now. So using, first of all, the structure, your introduction will have 4 purposes, 4 things you have to do in your introduction. Then you have point 1, you have point 2, you have point 3, right? And you have 3 things you have to do in your conclusion. That's the structure that you're using. You're not going to go off from that. And what I'm hoping and thinking is that eventually you'll start using that same structure and organization when you're talking to your friends or your parents, talking informally. Okay, so it's more highly structured. You use more formal language. What else?
Could be tone of the voice, because anybody knows when you are speaking with many people, what do you need to do? You need to speak loud.
All right, voice, volume, right? The tone of your voice, the volume, the authority that you have in your voice. What else? All of these come into the last point, right? This comes into the last point.
The posture and your non-verbal language.
All right, your posture and your nonverbal language. All of these come into the last point. What's the last point?
That public speaking requires a different method of delivery.
A different method of delivery, right? We can talk to our friends and be sitting down and stretched out and all over the place. And we can be playing with our hair and we can be on the phone doing something. But as you're standing in front of an audience, you need to be standing straight. You need to make eye contact. You need to have an authoritative voice with a volume that's comfortable for your audience. If your audience can't hear you, they'll stop listening. If you're not making eye contact, your audience doesn't believe you. Your audience does not believe you know what you're talking about because you're so nervous you can't even look at them. Your parents probably know that's how you lie to them when you don't look at them, right? Okay. All of this has to go in voice, posture, nonverbal language, habits. Uh, um, uh,
What about
um,
clothes?
um, you hear what I'm saying?
Fillers.
Okay. Fillers, exactly. Clothes, the kind of clothing that you wear.
Yeah.
Now, we don't have to wear fine suits that we paid a lot for, but to look like people should believe us. That's the thing. So we have these differences between how we speak with friends and how we need to speak in public. All right?
Yeah, you're right.
Nervousness. Nervousness. This is the biggest part of it because as you change the way you speak, as you structure your message, as you use a different method of delivery with your audience, you're still nervous. And nervousness is one of the most difficult things for us to be able to work with in public speaking. This is why people hate public speaking so much. It's only because of the nervousness. Now, let me tell you something. I have been speaking in public and teaching for years, and I still get nervous. Nervousness is not something that you can completely take out of it. You're always going to be nervous in front of a group, and that's a good thing. Anybody know why that's a good thing?
You learn
Because
you learn from your mistakes.
You learn from your mistakes. Okay.
You get used to it. You get used to it.
What do you get used to?
To the nervousness. Oh no, to people seeing you and hearing you all the time.
All right. That might make nervousness decrease a little bit. But why is being nervous a good thing sometimes? Maria Jose?
Well, something that I was going to mention is that I try to change that feeling of nervousness that sometimes it's more related to bad things, to being excited, to like think to yourself that you are just feeling that way because you're excited. And that way you feel like more comfortable with the situation because you're like, oh, this is going to be good for me, so I can handle this and I will do fine.
Right, right. Okay, that's a good way of thinking about it, right? The idea of turning it into excitement instead of nervousness. But it's still something that causes your stomach to crumble there and go, and your palms to sweat, and you're going, oh gosh, if I died right now, I wouldn't have to speak in public. But of course, that would be the worst option there. As we mentioned before, experience, practice. Experience and practice are going to be the two main ways that you can help decrease nervousness. Now, nervousness is good sometimes because, as you said with the excitement, it gives you a certain energy. We don't want someone to be completely relaxed when they speak because then they'll probably just kind of go like this and be talking as if it was something that they normally do, and it would become tedious and everyday. We want some nervousness and some excitement in the speech, in our speaker, because it shows us that they're still worried about what they're going to say to us and how they're going to say it. So it's okay to be nervous a bit. Experience and practice are going to be the ones. Preparation. Anyone here suffer from anxiety? Yeah, got a couple of you. All right. I do not very often, but I describe it as when I have an anxiety attack coming on, it feels like I have to speak in public and I have not prepared anything. That's the worst thing you can imagine, right? Having to speak in public and not being prepared for it. That's exactly how I feel when I have an anxiety attack. And that's the worst thing that can happen to us because that's why we're nervous. We don't feel prepared. We don't feel ready. And so if you prepare and practice, and the more experience you get, the less nervous you are when you're speaking in public. That's the only thing that I can give to you. Maria Jose mentioned to turn, not so much think of it as nervousness, but excitement. That's exactly it. That's part of thinking positively. Instead of thinking, I'm going to be terrible, I'm not going to do this well, you say, I'm going to kick butt, I'm going to be so good, my audience is going to respond positively, I'm going to have a great time, and I am going to make this recommendation, although I know I'm going to have problems later. Chris, how did you feel being the first one on Tuesday to present? Nervous, but...
Oh, well, I was nervous, but I had the confidence because like I mentioned, I really miss taking class, so I just want to go and help people
and do it
necessary
okay
and do my best.
Okay.
Basically.
And how did you feel after you spoke?
Well, after you made a question, after I talked, and everybody started participating, and they started mentioning that I think one of them mentioned they were impressed, and once again, if you guys are impressed, well, I'm here to help, and whatever questions you guys have or for pronunciation, send me a message and we'll see what's up.
All right. But when you were finished talking, did you feel more relaxed than you had before?
Yeah, because one of the topics of this material is to go ahead and participate, and I did my part, so that made me feel good.
And the idea, and the rest of you were going, I have to participate, I have to participate, I have to, and you were maybe not listening to the others because you're saying, I have to speak, I have to participate, I have to talk about something. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, right? So you were spending the whole time thinking about how nervous you were about doing it. Whereas if you go first, it's terrifying for many people to go first. But it helps with nervousness because if you just do it and get it over with and you're done with it, then you can sit back and relax and think, look at these poor people who have to wait until the end. Okay. Yeah. Now I know we're going to have to use a raffle to choose spaces because everyone will want to go first, and that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Hopefully we'll give many of you the chance to do it. All right. And knowing that nervousness is not visible is going to be one of our interesting points here. Knowing that you might be terrified. However, we might not be able to see that. There are some times where we can see that you're very, 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 very nervous and it distracts. But most times, we didn't know that you were that nervous. Somebody said, I forgot to say something. We didn't know. We didn't know that you were going to say it. I forgot to show a picture. We didn't know you were going to show a picture. So a lot of times you get nervous and you don't do things and you say something wrong and you forget. A lot of times your audience didn't notice it. Okay? So don't be so hard on yourself, but obviously do a good job. Now, we're going to try a little bit of visualization. And we're going to work a lot with visualization as we're working with your presentations that you're going to give. So what I want you to do is I want you to close your eyes. If you can turn your light down and make things nice and comfortable, and all right, close your eyes, relax. Let's breathe in on 5. Hold it. Exhale for 5. Again, inhale for 5. Hold it. Exhale for 5. Right? With your eyes closed, you're going to imagine that you have spent days, weeks preparing your topic, preparing what you're going to say. You've been looking in different sources of information. You've found a lot of interesting information, and that information is going to surprise your classmates. It's going to make them say, wow. It's going to impress them. You've been practicing what you're going to say, You've been practicing the pronunciation that's going to be correct for your vocabulary you have. You've been practicing your pauses. You've been practicing with the organization that you need your speech to have. Your attention step is amazing. It's going to get your audience's attention. It's going to make them look just at you. It's going to make them want to know even more. You stand up in front of your audience. You feel confident. You feel comfortable. You're ready to go. Your hands are not shaking at all because you know you're ready. You're ready to teach your audience something. You're ready to impress them. You're ready to help them learn something new today that they hadn't known before. You speak confidently. Your audience reacts and gives you positive feedback that lets you know that you're doing a good job. You're showing your visual aids on time. All your points are being connected. You're using great transitions. You get to the conclusion and you see your audience a little bit disappointed because they know that you're ending and they don't want your speech to end. They want to continue listening to you and learning from you. After you have finished, your audience applauds. And you know that in this class, when your audience applauds you, it's because you really did a good job. As you're being evaluated, you find that your audience enjoyed your speech. They learned something new, and your class was impressed. And all of this happened because you prepared and you practiced and you didn't let nervousness overcome you. Breathe in for 5. Hold for 5. Breathe out for 5. Open your eyes. How do you feel? Are you ready to do this?
Yeah.
Ready to go? Good. Hopefully you are. That's just it. Think positively. Think that you are going to do a great job because you're going to put all of your energy, all of your effort, everything that you can do, you're going to put into this. Any questions? Any comments you'd like to give?
That we should have recorded that to use it when we're going to present.
When you're nervous, I'll record it for you. I'll record it for you. I don't have a great recording voice, but still, I'll record it for you. Okay. Any questions or comments? All right, great. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. Be good. Don't be going out to parties and doing the whole thing like, I'm going to get coronavirus so that I get immune to it. Don't do that kind of crap. It doesn't work. All right. Stay safe. Read, practice, think about what kind of things you're going to be interested in talking about this semester. All right. And I'll see you on Monday then. Have a good one.
Thank you, teacher.
See you, teacher.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good one.
Bye.
Teacher.
Have a nice
Bye.
weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.